Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, DOTTLEY. This is the Common Sense Party Pod. Again, I'm your host, DOTTLEY. We are the Common Sense Party Pod. Our mission is to inform listeners on topics that affect the everyday person. Rate, review, follow, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to rate, review, follow, subscribe, even comment. Comment on the YouTube page, comment on Spotify, comment on Apple, give us a comment. Yes, we're available on all platforms. We are available on Spotify, Amazon Music, Samsung Podcast, Pandora, YouTube Music, formerly Google, YouTube Music, formerly Google Podcasts, TuneIn, and yes, we are available on Apple. Please give us 5 stars, give us 4 stars, give us 3 stars, and give us 2 stars, give us 1 star. You don't give us any stars, I'll just assume we're doing it properly. You can support via Cash App or Zelle. The information on the About page. You can contact us at the Common Sense Party Pod at gmail.com. Available on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, and Threads. All right. If you were under a rock today, you saw how Dump has free advertising, free media. What he did to the National Association of Black Journalists, NABJ. That's a funny name, NABJ. All right. Yes, he did. He went today and he went to the NABJ and made a fool of himself, or fully smart. Okay, because the title of this podcast is he stupid smart? Is he really stupid smart? I gotta ask that question. Because right now he's getting free media. Okay, but first we are going to first, read the hat. Read the hat. If you're a friend of mine on Facebook, Threads, X, Instagram, TikTok, this is a Common Sense Party Pod. And unfriend me if you vote for Dump. If you vote for him, unfriend me. He's not good for the nation. Let's get that out of the way. Again, democracy requires commitment and consistency. Are you going to be consistent with your commitment to voting? You can vote for whoever you want, but are you going to be consistent? Need y'all to be consistent. All right. Our first story is, why do Republicans hate women? I've done an episode on this before where I explained that Republicans really don't like women, any women. You can look at the track record. They really don't like women, and I don't understand how, especially white women, vote for them. But we're going to listen to this guy, and yes, they could be weirdos.
Their weirdness. They're in total denial. And that's the weird part about them. They don't realize that normal people don't start like making essentialist arguments about women police conformity and men go outright. That's why it's weird to see a male politician say that something's weird. Are you kidding me? Who's ever had that thought? I mean, it's completely manufactured. Here's Daily Wire, one of the biggest conservative outlets, Andrew Klavan, who is trying to seriously discuss
the most normal man.
Yes, Kamala Harris. And here's this guy trying to show you he's not weird. The problem is women's brains just don't work properly. Go ahead.
Before Biden stepped down, one Quinnipiac poll showed that Trump had the support of just 36% of women. 58% of women were ready to vote for Joe Biden, a guy that anybody who was paying attention knew was too senile to be the president.
No, he wasn't.
So they were willing to vote for a senile goober over Trump. They just don't like this guy. Now, I don't believe in making great generalities about things, like what they call totalizing principles. Like life is about this.
But I'm about to make a totalizing principle that encompasses everything.
A doozy of one.
In fact, I don't have to make any other totalizing principles because this one captures everything. Go.
So they were willing to vote for a senile goober over Trump. They just don't like this guy. Now, I don't believe in making great generalities about things, like what they call totalizing principles, like life is about this or society is about this. But sometimes it's kind of like being the blind man with the elephant. You're only seeing one side of it. But sometimes that helps. Sometimes you're just taking a look at one side of things. And that's what I'm going to do now. There is a sense in which the central purpose of every society is to figure out the distribution of women, because women are valuable. They're valuable not just for their
Pause it
company.
for a second. I mean, we don't have to listen to anything else of this. We will, because it's hilarious. But he's just described the function of society is to commodify women.
I tell you,
It is to distribute.
They do not like women. I do not know why. They don't see them as equals. They don't see them that they can do stuff. How do white women vote for them? Someone let me know.
The distribution of women. Now, as you listen to this, I also want you to recall when Jordan Peterson went on Joe Rogan about 4 or 5 years ago and said there is a problem where you have some males who are dominating. They're getting all the ladies, and we should make sure that it's distributed equally. And Joe Rogan said, well, isn't that like socialism? Oh, well, okay, I need to think about that, I think is what he said. Well, Slavin 4 years later is going to make the exact same argument that, but really make it explicit. Women are commodities. That's why society's set up. Is there any non-right-wing, patriarchal, Christian fundamentalist, religious fundamentalist person who hears that and says, that's not weird?
By the way, can we end a little early today? I have to go to an appraisal appointment.
Go ahead. Oh, my God.
Sometimes you're just taking a look at one side of things, and that's what I'm going to do now. There is a sense in which the central purpose of every society is to figure out the distribution of women.
That's your sense.
Because women are valuable. They're valuable not just for their company and for their way of looking at things and for sex, which is a lot of fun, but also because they are the only path there is to continuing your genetic inheritance. That is the way it is.
More interesting to me than
men want
sex.
women.
Now, pause it again. Like, I just want you to contemplate, like, who is he talking to? Who is the you? Who is the we? Women are commodities to him. The only conversation this guy's capable of having is with other men.
Yep.
Again, Republicans don't like women.
We're talking, look, you and I, man to men, really, probably boys. This is the conversation that we have about defining society. Women aren't even part of this conversation. Because if women were part of the conversation, like, he would say, you know, some of you are really a commodity and others aren't, because we're all in this together. I mean, this is so bizarre. And here's the other bizarre part. We're not at a bar
No.
sitting next to some dude who is ranting. These are self-conscious, completely aware political commentators who are trying to make an argument in public. It is weird to hold these beliefs. It is bat crap crazy to articulate them with no self-consciousness and awareness that other people are going to receive this as being very weird.
We talk about this within the context of why they don't see a problem with women having major health complications and needing abortions because those rape and incest exemptions for abortion bans are non-actionable. We've talked about this. It's because the natural extension of this thought about women only basically being vessels for the continuation of your biology is that if they fail in that endeavor, they are not really women, because what else are they good for? So that's why they want to ban abortion, to control that, because women are only good to reproduce your biological material. And if they fail at that, they probably should either have health complications, or if they die, God said they're not worthy of being the vessel.
Well, you didn't listen carefully enough, because he also said there was some value to women because they can be fun company and sex. Go ahead.
Gotcha.
Company and for their way of looking at things, and for sex, which is a lot of fun, but also because they are the only path there is to continuing your genetic inheritance. That is the way it is. When men want women on this kind of basic animalistic, just life level to reproduce, right? So the most obvious way to distribute women is to give all the women to the strongest man, right? So you get reproduced from the strongest person. That's the way many gorillas, silverbacks live. The one guy gets all
That's
the
a real
girls.
thing.
The problem with that is it sounds like a good idea, but it's unstable, because obviously all the other guys finally think to themselves, oh, I know what we'll do. We'll get together and we'll kill the main guy, the alpha guy, and we'll steal the woman. And that's why those governments are unstable. That's how you get Magna Carta, where the
Can you pause
aristocrats...
it? Okay. So, okay, where does naturalism begin and where does it end? Where does it begin and where does it end? Because he's making a distinction. He's saying we have to draw a line here, because if we behave like gorillas in the animal world, then all the men would take all of the women that are high value, and then other men would kill the silverback for the other women. And it's like, okay, so you're acknowledging that is not a smart way to structure a society, in a way that men are hoarding women as chattel and taking all of the many wives, and then other men are going to kill that man for a said wife or whatever.
Which, by the way, is not happening. We don't have a patriarchal polygamy where men have multiple wives and
right. So he's drawn a line there, but then there's things about nature that you can't challenge. You can't challenge the fact that women are there to reproduce your biological material, and that naturally men have an animalistic urge to preside over them and to control them, and that's what their value is. So you just see the hypocrisy of these religious theocrats. It's not anything about the natural world or what God has created before them, because then they would be abiding by the most insane terms in the Bible about, like, oh, you should kill somebody if they spill their seed outside of a woman, or whatever the case may be.
Well,
or you can't eat shellfish. If that were the case, they would be abiding by the religious theocracy, as opposed to just like using it as a template to control and pretend this is the natural order.
There's a book by Christopher Ryan, Sex at Dawn, that goes into those nature metaphors, and like it's very selective which animals we decide to model ourselves after. And I would just say silverback gorilla, a little bit specific. Maybe you could even look at other primates for different, more egalitarian ways that mating.
But the idea, I mean, he will just say, okay, I've reverse engineered this. So if he's saying that there's some society, presumably, that we have had where the strongest male would just take all the women. And I do not think that has been the case in our society. Like,
and you see what the women want. It doesn't even matter. Like, the women will automatically be taken.
He's saying physical strength, incidentally. Now, the best part is he's using silverback gorillas because they're related to us, but he wants to make it clear, because he's also a creationist probably, that we did not in any way, there's no evolution. I'm not claiming that there's evolution. I'm just saying that we're like gorillas, and the strongest one would take it. And he literally means strongest, because he delineates this later with intelligence. There's only two types of men. There's a really strong ones, and then there's the really intelligent ones. And then, of course, women have...
Mage and warrior.
Women just have, essentially one attribute that your penis fits into them. Go ahead.
Oh, God. Well, you see this happening...
Oh, no, go ahead.
That's the wrong one.
Obviously, all the other guys finally think to themselves, oh, I know what we'll do. We'll get together and we'll kill the main guy, the alpha guy, and we'll steal the woman. And that's why those governments are unstable. That's
pause it for a second. Now, I don't know what governments he's talking about, But
History lesson.
I've got news for you. Once you kill the strong guy, once you all get together to kill the strong guy because he's taking all the women, there's a new strong guy. Like, it's not like, oh, there's strong guy, and then there's all of the rest of us who are exactly the same
Democracy
strength.
guys.
Yeah. And that's that government. So all of a sudden we've gone from, that's what's destabilized governments in the past, is the strong king who sleeps with all the women.
Yeah, Bonaparte was.
Yeah, he sleeps with all the women, prima nocte, and no other nocte, and then everybody revolts because, hey, how come he's got all the ladies and we don't?
The women better
That's their
not
history.
unpack their suitcase because it seems like they're going to have to. Oh, geez, the new silverback came to town.
Exactly.
I
This is
got to
the thing.
go over
It's like,
there.
this is gorillas,
Cross to Oak Street.
and this is governments of humans, and somehow he just keeps going like this. Like they just keep cross-referencing each other. Go ahead.
Stable, because obviously all the other guys finally think to themselves, oh, I know what we'll do. We'll get together and we'll kill the main guy, the alpha guy, and we'll steal the woman. And that's why those governments are unstable. That's how you get Magna Carta, where the aristocrats, the most powerful people, go to the king and say, we want power too. That is kind of the human way of acting out that guerrilla system.
Pause it for 1 second. Now, again, his whole point is that power equals capacity to control women. Now, I think there's
They
probably
don't
other
like
things that people
women.
were arguing about in terms of like why the king shouldn't have all the power.
And the lords had money as opposed to maybe
It
not
could be
just
money
being
and
brute
property
strength.
and whatnot,
Yeah.
but
There's
at the
some
end,
taxes,
it's all
issues.
about the ladies.
Yeah,
Go
I don't
ahead.
think it was like you're taking all the. You're taking all the
All the
women.
high value women.
King John.
Governments are unstable. That's how you get Magna Carta, where the aristocrats, the most powerful people, go to the king and say, we want power too. That is kind of the human way of acting out that guerrilla system. Ultimately, other men want women. When you have a democracy, the best system is monogamy, right? One per customer. Everybody gets a woman. And it sounds like that means
Everybody
that
gets a
weak
woman.
people will be allowed to breed,
Yes,
but it turns
pause it.
out
all the people get a woman. You know, he's saying like all the people get a woman. All the normal people get a woman, and that's why we do it. One per customer. You get men are the customers, and women are the thing that you pick up at the store.
But why is he so against free market principles? That's the odd thing that I'm like zeroing in on. What if you are a high value man that has the capacity to purchase
Well,
multiple
that's
women?
what Joe
Monopolies.
Rogan said to Peterson
I
when he
agree.
came on. Like,
But-
wait a second,
but
isn't that
he's-
socialism?
He's the real free market fundamentalist here. I have to question Clavin and his commitment to, making sure that our economy is prosperous.
Women are a special commodity. Everybody knows this, except
No
for
2-for-1
except
deals.
for women.
Nationalize
No
women.
2-for-1 deals at the women's store. Okay, one purchase only.
want women. When you have a democracy, the best system is monogamy, right? One per customer. Everybody gets a woman. And it sounds like
Price
that
controls.
means that weak people will be allowed to breed, but it turns out it's actually a pretty good system because it favors diversity. Because a lot of times the smartest guy in the room and the strongest guy in the room are two entirely different people. So you want the strongest guy to reproduce, but you also want the smartest guy to reproduce, and that is how humanity
Pause it for a second.
advances.
Do you
In
like it?
fact,
He's
monopoly.
literally doing it now.
Yeah.
We want it to be the fairest for the people. He doesn't even recognize women as people in his little, I don't even know what this is,
No, he
paradigm
doesn't.
that he has.
It's
This-
a eugenicist paradigm. The way he's talking about reproducing certain kinds of people, or I should say, it's more natalist, which is a branch of that. Which I've been trying to highlight on the show, and I think it's so obscure people don't really get it because it's weird. But JD Vance traffics in it. So does Elon Musk.
Weird.
This idea that like social reproduction of certain kinds of people, which ends up usually being white people, but for Elon, he feels he needs to spread his DNA throughout the world because of his intelligence, and that's going to be, they justify it with their God complex about how it's going to help the human race. And the point is that that's weird. people don't want to talk about natalism or like who the most high value woman is, and if this Republican politician or commentator is going to get in between you and your doctor or inspect your kid's genitals or her teammates on the volleyball team or whatever. That's why this is such an effective attack, is because it just shows how small their vision of the world is. I mean, you could just see it through a pinhole, and everybody else is going to be dominated if they're not in a part of that vision. So that's why it's an effective attack, because when you can laugh at these guys, then you can both fight them and not take them seriously well, you should take them seriously, but not take these ideas seriously.
Weird.
Somebody said on the IM, Roger, this sounds like DEI for incels. Go ahead.
It does.
The smartest guy in the room and the strongest guy in the room are two entirely different people. So you want the strongest guy to reproduce, but you also want the smartest guy to reproduce, and that is how humanity advances. In fact, monogamy, one per customer, is a really good basis for a society. However, it goes against the gorilla code. And the gorilla code is written into our DNA. We're somehow related. I'm not saying we evolved from gorillas, but we're related to them. We're not that far away from them. The men want lots of women, so the strongest man wants all the women, and the women want the strongest man. That is the way evolution has designed us. So the strong have to take back the women.
The reason this gets unanimous consent at Daily Wire is there's not a single one of these guys getting laid there. So they're all these,
Well, the problem is we're all the smart people. We're all the smart men, and all the strong men are getting all the ladies. That's the problem. That's always been the problem. It is, yes, The Rock is getting it. Women really like a cowboy type of figure, like a Marlboro Man or a strong guy like Joe Rogan. And so we get screwed because we're really smart. Anyways, here's my theory. Go ahead.
They want to take back the women from a system that is free. A system that is free is going to be a monogamous system. That's the way that works, because it is the best system for freedom. It means everybody gets something, right?
Pause it.
All the women get a man.
Now, freedom means that women must stay with their man that has chosen them.
Freedom not.
That's what freedom is. Because women are different than people. They're the commodity that serves people, and therefore there's no such thing as freedom for a commodity.
Well, my idea of freedom is a little...
look who's talking again.
Oh, sorry.
All right, go, keep playing.
The women. They want to take back the women from a system that is free. A system that is free is going to be a monogamous system. That's the way that works, because it is the best system for freedom. It means everybody gets something, right? All the women get a man, all the men get a woman.
With money.
Yeah, as close as we can come to that. The strong want to take women back, and they have to do it through, because it's a free system. They can't do it by force. They might want to, but they can't. They have to do it by lies. And there are two big lies they want to tell them. One is your husband is a no-goodnik. He's a pain in the ass, and he's bossing you around. That's the first lie. And that lie is probably not a lie. It's probably true on some days, at least. But the big lie that the government wants to tell you, that the people who want the power concentrated all in one place to get all the women, they want to tell you, is that women can take care of themselves. And women hate the idea that they can't take care of themselves, but women cannot take care of themselves. They're smaller, weaker. Men are stronger. Men are mean. They're more aggressive. They will take them over. They'll do it anytime they can, anywhere they can. They will abuse them. They will hurt them. Women have to come up with different strategies for survival than men do, right? Men buff up. They get tough. They study karate. They learn how to fight. Women can do all those things, and there still is going to be a man that can take them down. Women have to find different ways of being safe, and one of those ways is finding a man to protect them.
Yeah, so it is really amazing. They also have this incredibly insecure self-conception about how their masculinity should be defined in relation to women, which is as the protector, right? They feel that this was why that I returned to this because it was a bizarre moment for me to have that clip of me blow up talking about that subway incident where I had kind of to contrast about the Jordan Neely killing and saying I had somebody who hit into me while they were having an incident and I wouldn't have wanted them killed or detained by somebody. I just moved away. And Ben Shapiro played that on his show. And I wondered why that bothered people so much. But it really is this idea that, like, a lot of these men have, because the conservatism is so weird and focused on structuring gender roles in this completely suffocating way, they define their masculinity as basically a white knight to save certain kinds of women from certain kinds of other men. And so when they talk about these things in animalistic terms or in the natural order of the natural world, it also makes it quite easy for them to divide people up by race and gender and into almost tribal fiefdoms, where their side is the one that wants to dominate and win, as opposed to just like creating a society where all people can have prosperity and be comfortable.
I think the liberals.
Well, you're not including the fact that it means that you're capable of leaving your man, which
Again, Republicans hate women. They don't see them as equals. Somebody please, the Common Sense Party at gmail.com, and please explain to me why Republican women vote Republican when they don't value you. Over my shoulder, that is the Common Sense Party. That is the Cartoon Rewind podcast. You can check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Apple. Comment, follow, review, subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. All right. Moving forward, was Roland Martin right about the NABJ? Stop it. NABJ, that's the National Association of Black Journalists. So, we're going to listen to this clip. And again, if you weren't under a rock today, you would see what happened. Check it out.
Journalists trying to hold them accountable are women of color.
On the campaign trail, you called yourself a nationalist. Some people saw that as emboldening white nationalists. Now people are also saying that the president.
That's such a racist
There are
question.
some people.
That's such a racist question. Honestly, I mean, I know you have it written down and you're going to tell me. Let me tell you, it's a racist question.
Wow. The same thing with April Ryan. I watch her get up. I mean, you talk about somebody that's a loser. She doesn't know what the hell she's doing.
Are you going to include the Congressional Black Caucus and the Congressional
Well, I
Hispanic
would.
Caucus?
I tell you what, do you want to set up the meeting? Do you want to set up the meeting?
No.
Are they friends of yours?
Comments like those make it all the more surprising then that the National Association of Black Journalists announced an interview with Trump at its annual conference this Wednesday. One co-chair of the event, Washington Post columnist Karen Attiah, just resigned from her position in protest. Coming on tonight to discuss, Roland Martin is the host and managing editor of Roland Martin Unfiltered. He joins us now. Roland, thank you so much for joining me. I'm just going to give you the floor because I think you represent the concerns of a lot of African-American journalists and just journalists, period. What is the main problem with NABJ inviting Donald Trump to be interviewed tomorrow at the conference in Chicago?
Look, we've always invited presidential candidates, Republicans and Democrats. 1996, Bob Dole and Jack Kemp were there in Nashville. 2016, Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump were invited. Trump did not come. He did not come in 2017, 18, 19, or 20. The difference here is Donald Trump has been far more vicious in his attacks on journalists, on journalism, and the fourth estate. He has pushed fake news. He has sat here and lied about the election results. And so the reason I've been so upset is because when the news came out, is first, there is no way Harris Faulkner and Fox News or any representative of Fox News should be on any stage at NABJ questioning Donald Trump after they paid $787 million to settle a case where they lied about the election and they knew they were lying. They have a second case that's going on. Two, no black male journalists. Got 4,000 members. I'm down for the sisters. And if there were 3 black men and no sisters, I would be joining the sisters saying, where's representation? Thirdly, no black-owned media. We're in Chicago. I'm here covering the Sonia Massey rally at Mount Pilgrim Baptist Church on the west side. This city has a Rich, deep history with the black media. Ebony, Jet, Chicago Defender, Ida B. Wells, married Fred Barnett in terms of moving here, working for his newspaper. And for no black-owned media on that panel, that's why Black Enterprise, in essence, have canceled their panel, the Executive Leadership Council, on Thursday. And so that's why people are upset, because this man has been vicious. You showed the video attacking Jamel Hill, Yamiche Alcindor, April Ryan, all three people who were named NABJ's Journalists of the Year.
So, Roland, I want to also add to this. The counter that was said by the NABJ president was, well, you know, this is an opportunity to hold Trump accountable and we'll have live fact checking. But the reality is most of the people on that stage, and this is not an insult to any of those journalists, except maybe some criticism of Harris Faulkner, it's not like these people aren't capable. But haven't we seen after 6 or 7 years that fact checking does nothing for Donald Trump? Is there any way that the NABJ could justify this?
Look, you can fact check him, but you got to have folks who are willing to go at him and say, I'm sorry, that's a lie. That's not true. You must stop it in the moment it is said. You can't sit here and allow him to pontificate. We already know he's going to lie about HBCU. He's going to lie about black unemployment. He's going to lie about these things. But more importantly, NABJ condemned him multiple times for his attacks on the media. And so what you're dealing with is a serial liar. So unless you are willing to go toe-to-toe with him, and Harris Faulkner and Fox News will never do it, then you cannot deal with a liar. You must be as aggressive in fact-checking him as he is aggressive in law.
Roland, I'm going to ask this quick because I think this is also key. The situation isn't just one of Donald Trump being aggressive and violent. He has called the press the enemy of the state. He has encouraged violence against specific members of the organization. And he's made it clear in Project 2025 that should he get back into office, he is comfortable with jailing journalists. This isn't just a black eye on the NABJ. It's an open threat. Do you think that there's a possibility in the next 24 hours that anybody there recognizes that inviting the Fox into the hen house is a mistake, or do you think this is still going to go through, even though it's going to leave the organization with a black eye?
Oh, it's still going to go through. And I'm also angry that NABJ turned down Vice President Kamala Harris's request to appear virtually and to take questions. You and I are talking on Skype. We do satellite interviews. So why could NABJ accommodate her since she's in Atlanta today, Houston tomorrow with Sicker Gamma Row, and the funeral of Congresswoman Chief Jackson Lee on Thursday? This is a failure of NABJ's leadership, and it's hard for me to say this. I'm a life member. I'm in the Hall of Fame. I'm a 3-time board member. This is my 35th year. But this is where leadership failed to factor all of these things in. Initially, I was going to leave because I got to go to Houston for Sheila Jackson Lee's funeral, but I'm going to be there. And I'm telling you, if that man lies and they do not challenge him, you're going to hear somebody from the audience say, stop lying, because we as journalists must be arbiters of truth. We cannot and should not be so graceful in allowing somebody to lie in front of us, especially somebody with his history.
Exactly. And we should not be giving him the platform to lie to our faces. Roland Martin, thank you so much for joining.
They are going to give him the platform because you know what? They think they will never get the platform to be on a national stage like that. They're trading what's the word? They're giving him a stage so they can be seen. Because of what happened today, look how many people are talking about the National Association of Black Journalists. Like I said, I think it's a bad look, but it is what it is. But okay, so let's go to see what the liar said. Yes, he lied like a moron. But like I said, this is what it is. This is what we do.
Question. So, in such a horrible manner, first question. You don't even say hello, how are you? Are you with ABC? Because I think they're a fake news network, a terrible network.
Now that Kamala Harris is Donald Trump's opponent in the presidential race, and her campaign brings so much energy and excitement and is so fresh, these old dusty talking points from Donald Trump, like saying fake news, just don't have the sting that they once did. Now, Rachel Scott of ABC News is a complete professional, one of the best in the business. So she was not rattled by Donald Trump's outrageous remarks. And she followed that up with a question about Kamala Harris being a DEI hire, which a lot of Republicans are saying. Watch Donald Trump's ridiculous response.
Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a black woman?
Well, I can say, no, I think it's maybe a little bit different. So I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much. And she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to.
He ain't black. I'm about to curse. He got the nerve to say she wasn't black. Gotta ask y'all a question. What does biracial mean? So are you telling me that this dude does not know what biracial is? And y'all want him to be the president of the United States? Keep telling y'all, man, the president cannot be dumber than me. It is not supposed to be that way where the president doesn't know shit.
To turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
She has always
But you know
identified
what?
as a black woman.
I
She went to a
respect
historically
either
black
one.
college.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't.
Now that's a moment people are going to remember. For somebody like Donald Trump to question whether or not Kamala Harris is black is just a road you don't want to go down. This is why people accuse Donald Trump of being racist, because this is birtherism 2.0. Speaking of racism, Donald Trump recently said that all police in America should have immunity. And the reporters on stage challenged Trump on this by citing a recent case of an unarmed black woman shot by police, asking Donald Trump why that police officer should receive immunity. And Donald Trump showed that he has no idea what police immunity is all about. Watch this.
Sadia Massey, someone from Illinois, an unarmed black woman, was shot the other day in her home by a deputy sheriff. The deputy has since been charged with murder. You said police would get immunity from prosecution if you win. Why should someone like that officer have immunity, in your opinion?
Immunity?
Immunity.
I don't know the exact case, but I saw something, and it didn't look good to me. It didn't look good to me. Are you talking with the water, right?
Yeah, well, police unions are not backing this person either.
Okay.
But again, why would...
They're going to be charging the officer. I guess they're charging the officer.
So why should he receive immunity?
Well, he might not. I mean, it depends. It depends on what happens. I'm talking.
This bozo has no idea what he's talking about, and more people are starting to see it. And speaking of not knowing what he's talking about, Donald Trump was confronted about the Republican Party and him continuing to say that Democrats support abortion up until the time of birth and even afterwards. Watch him get called out on this.
Do you think the Republican Party is getting a little bit too judgy about people's lives when you think about abortion or when you think about what J.D. Vance is saying?
I don't think, look, I think that the Democrat Party is really the one that has the problem. I think they're radical on abortion because they're allowing abortion in the 9th month. They're allowing the death. They're allowing the death of a baby after the baby is born, based on the governor of Virginia. Based on the governor of Virginia, they're allowing the death of the baby after it's born. They're allowing abortions in the.
Good on those reporters calling him out on this nonsense. I'm tired of hearing about it. Trump was also asked about his remarks in regards to pardoning violent January 6th rioters. Watch his response here.
What's going to happen to those people? What's going to happen to the people in Portland that destroyed that city?
But sir, my question is on those.
What's going to happen to
my
the
question
people
is
that
on
tried
those
to
rioters who assaulted officers.
You have to
would you pardon
what's
those
going to
people?
happen? Oh, absolutely, I would.
You would pardon those?
If they're innocent, I would pardon them.
They've been convicted.
And by the way, the Supreme Court just under.
I love the audience laughing at Donald Trump. That's exactly the response he deserves when he says these outrageous things. He was also called out about his comments about migrants taking black jobs.
Why come here? What is your message today?
My message is to stop people from invading our country that are taking, frankly, a lot of problems with it. But one of the big problems, and a lot of the journalists in this room I know and I have great respect for,
no, you don't.
a lot of the journalists in this room are black.
Stop lying.
I will tell you that coming from the border are millions and millions of people that happen to be taking black jobs. You have the best.
What exactly is a black job, sir?
A black job is anybody that has a job. That's what it is. Anybody that has a job.
All right.
And
Mr. President,
they're taking the employment away from black people.
Donald Trump has had over a month to revisit this talking point and find a way to spin it in a positive way. When he first said that migrants are taking black jobs at the debate with Joe Biden, everybody was shocked and so many people were insulted, and rightfully so. And now he, instead of coming up with some other excuse or explaining it in a positive way, Donald Trump just simply doubles down, and you can hear the gasps from people in the room. And I guarantee there are millions of people across America having the same exact response. And that brings us to the abrupt ending of the interview after just over 30 minutes. Donald Trump was about to be asked about a hot topic that a lot of people are interested in right now, and the interview was stopped. Watch.
Remember, they're taking your jobs. These people coming in are taking your job.
Project 2025.
I think we have to leave it there by the Trump team.
All right.
So leave it. That is the last word. Thank you so much, Mr. Trump, for coming today and joining us.
Get out, motherfucker, get out.
Well, thank you very much.
Won't be out.
Thank you.
Well, isn't that interesting? Once Donald Trump is asked a question about Project 2025, the interview is all out of time. It says a lot about Donald Trump that he has no policy positions to offer the black community except to say, I'll stem the flow of migrants into America because they're taking black jobs. How hard would it be for the Republican Party to come up with some policy positions that benefit the black community? Whether it's expanding the child tax credit, forgiving student loans, investing in distressed communities, whatever. This isn't that complicated. But instead, Donald Trump insults the crowd by saying these ridiculous talking points, and I think people are fed up with this. Now that Kamala Harris is in the race, she brings a fresh perspective with some exciting, energetic ideas that benefit all of America with a hopeful vision for the future. And now that people can see Donald Trump in all his sadness with these old talking points that are just full of hatred and anger, I don't think people are interested in this MAGA movement. I think it's wonderful that Donald Trump got confronted at the National Association of Black Journalists Convention.
But he didn't.
Trump and MAGA need to know just how unpopular they are in America.
Yes, they do.
And we're going to let them know just that in the November election.
Yes, we will. All right. Check this out. All right, check this out. If you vote for Donald Trump, you a dummy. Yes, I said you a dummy. Okay, let me put it this way. If you are poor, let's see, if you are a person who makes under $1 million a year and you vote for Donald Trump, you're voting against your own interests. I do not know why, but people in this age love to vote against their own interests. Republicans do not like poor people. Republicans don't like women. So I urge you to vote blue to save our country, because we're at an inflection point right now. Yes, we are. Democracy requires conviction, consistency, and commitment. And we are at a inflection point right now where either we go left or we go right. And it might be close, but I think we have enough so we can move this train off for what if they don't cheat. If they don't cheat, we got a chance. All right. we're going to get some reactions from what happened today. We're going to check out CNN.
Thing with us here in studio.
Ooh,
would
boy.
you have advised, if you were an advisor to the former president, that he do this?
No, I would not have. I think the appeals that are going to be necessary here, you know, we talked about Latino men, black men during the break, one of the breaks, and I was sharing that some of them that I've talked with, I did a series of focus groups with black men. I'm doing more. I'm just curious to see those who are interested in potentially voting for him. Why? What's the thought process behind it? And as I've been texting with some of them, as the DEI comments have come out, quite a few of them are just like, you know, I don't know if I would vote for her, but I don't like this. And if it continues, I'm probably not going to vote for him. And so whatever gains the former president appears to have made mathematically, you need to be careful with this crap. That's just the only way to say this. You know, she's Indian, she's black, her father's Jamaican, she's black. As far as every black person in America is concerned, she is black. We consider Kamala Harris to be one of us because she is one of us. The woman went to Howard University, attorney general for the largest state in the country. You can have whatever differences you want with the vice president. That's fine. Most black people out there are going to say, all right, you got differences? We'll hear the differences. Now, we might disagree, but let's have that conversation. But to question the vice president's ethnicity, I mean, I can't even say what I really want to say about this, but I just think this was a calculating mistake, and I would not have advised that.
Because it's a course.
Oh, well, because I can't, because it's television, and it's words that I probably shouldn't use on live television.
Okay,
it is.
got it.
It is.
All right.
So I just. This just wasn't good. Were there some good moments for him on the economy? Sure, with Harris and Katia, she asked some very pointed, good questions. But overall, I just don't see what the net gain here was. And I think a lot of black people will watch this appearance and then they will point to the former president and they will point to the Republican Party and say, this is exactly why we will never give you all the majority of our support.
I'm curious what you make of a line that we've heard him say before, but he drilled down on it today, and he was asked a follow-up, and he sort of ignored it. He makes the argument that he's the best president for black people since Abraham Lincoln. As a Republican, your response?
Based on what metric? I mean, based on what metric, honestly? Are there some good benefits, I would argue, in terms of conservatism, culturally speaking? Sure. I think we're not a more relativist party. Sure. Are we good on the economic front? Yes. I think we're better than Democrats and liberalism on international relations and the idea of free trade and capitalism. But I think when you make these sorts of assessments before people who have the experiences that the vast majority of black people have historically, and you say you were the absolute best compared to a litany of presidents from civil rights to the ending of slavery. I mean, I can go on and on.
Okay, let's just fact check this motherfucker right here. I know he's saying that they are better on international economy. No, they're not. Absolutely not. They are not. The Republicans are not good on the economy. Most Republican presidents, explode the deficit, and when a Democrat comes into office, Democrats fix the deficit. And yeah, fact check that motherfucker all day. Talking about not him, talking about Dump. Fact check Dump all the time because he's not even better than George W. Bush. Both of them.
A lot of black people are going to look at you and say, what the hell are you talking about? I'm just being very honest. And so if I were advising the former president, I would say, look, you have an opportunity here to talk about some good things potentially that Republicans could do to lower costs, to make things better for the average American, including many black people. But don't go up there and make a fool of yourself. Let me just put it that way.
You think he made a fool of himself?
I just don't think this was a good moment for him. And I will come on this network, and you guys know this, I'll often talk about very good things that I think the president has to his advantage. We've had those conversations. But I just think it would be ridiculous for me as a black man, regardless of my political beliefs, to come on this network and pretend that that was a great moment when I know it wasn't.
Let's go to Jarrett Hill. He's the former president of the Los Angeles chapter of the NABJ, and he's joining us now virtually. Jarrett, you watched that. What did you think?
He's frozen.
I disagreed with a lot of Schmeichel's analysis earlier in the show, but I definitely agree with him on this moment. This was a situation. I think we see here in the headline, like him talking about Kamala Harris having, quote, turned black, which really harkens back to the Barack Obama era, right? This is like beginning a birtherism conversation about whether or not she's actually black, which to me just kind of feels played and old and tired, but also antagonistic. I think that one of the things that Schmeichel was talking about prior to the speech was, or the conversation was, that this was an opportunity to reach out to black voters, which is something I really disagree with, because I think that when we see these kinds of moments, this isn't about reaching out to black people at all. Because if you look at what he did, there's nothing that you can point to in this interview where he has said something that really reached out to black people. This is about reaching out to white people that feel like they can make they feel a little less racist in this choice when they see him showing up with black people, when they show him coming up to black conventions and doing those kinds of things. And I don't even know if that was accomplished in this.
And Jarrett, what did you make of his remarks regarding the vice president?
I think he did exactly what we expect him to do with the vice president. We hear him mispronounce her name. We hear him disparage her as a woman. We've heard him do all kinds of different things like this. And I think these are the kinds of moments where he could really have an opportunity to reach out to black voters. He could have an opportunity to push back and say, I'm not a misogynist, or I'm not a racist, or any of those kinds of things. And we've not seen that here, right? We've seen him attack these black women on this panel. We've seen him attack the organization, saying that their equipment was bad, and you all had me holding up in the back, where we've seen other reporting that he was resisting to the fact checking. So this is a very frustrating thing to watch him do this on this stage, and as a presidential candidate going up against Kamala Harris.
Yeah, he also was taking aim at her for failing the bar on her first go, which a lot of people do. In fact, I think some years in California, more people do than not. And lots of well-known people, I was just looking it up, Hillary Clinton talks about it in her book, FDR, they failed the bar. But Kamala Harris also did something that Donald Trump did not do, Jarrett, which is that she passed the bar. And he has not made his academic record certainly public. I wonder what you think the effect of talking about something like that, academic achievement, when actually her academic achievement has been quite good, what the effect is of comments like that.
Well, I think this is about projection, right? I think one of the most consistent things that we've seen out of Donald Trump is the projection, right? If he's being perceived as a criminal, which he now is, he calls other people criminals. If we see him as any one of these other kinds of things where we are able to point to him being a racist, he calls everyone else racist. If we see any of those kinds of things, he's always projecting. And this issue about education, where we see him where he's calling her, stupid and lazy and not valuable and all of these different things. This is projection, right? And so we see this from him time and time again. We know that Donald Trump ran a university that was for profit and ended up being shut down because it was fake. We know that Donald Trump does these kinds of things all the time. And so when it comes to him calling Kamala Harris, uneducated or not smart, we also know that this is a racist attack, right? We know that black people are always being called lazy, being called unqualified in the ways that we've seen him do repeatedly. So this is on brand for Trump. I don't know what this has gained him. I don't know what this has grown for him. And it also is a bad moment for us at NABJ, to be quite honest.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. It was a bad moment because you shamed yourself so you can get clicks. Yeah, you shamed yourself so you can get clicks. It's just insane what people do for clicks. But you did it. You got the free press, and it is what it is. We can't go back because you already agreed to it. So here we go. We're we're gonna go on to polling. We don't believe in polls, but hey, we're gonna do what we're gonna do. David Packard Show talking about a devastating poll that
in total meltdown over the devastating new Fox News poll, mind you, that shows Kamala Harris with a higher favorability rating than Trump in all of those critical swing states and more. As a reminder, here are the results we discussed earlier this week. In Wisconsin, Kamala Harris leading Trump in favorability. In Pennsylvania, Kamala Harris leading Trump in favorability. In Minnesota, leading Trump in favorability, and in Michigan by 10 points leading Trump in favorability. Now, one quick note. Some people wrote to me, they said, David, these add up to more than 100. How is that possible? Again, these are favorability or approval rankings. You can approve of both in such a poll. This is not who are you going to vote for. That's why the numbers can add up to more than 100. Trump instantly, he's been losing it for days on Truth Social over this poll, immediately posting conspiracies and attacks on Kamala Harris. By the way, in the midst of it, he posted a conspiracy theory arguing that Christopher Wray, the FBI director, who, by the way, Trump chose, this is Trump's FBI director, ordered the assassination of Trump. And you need only scroll down to find horrible attacks on Kamala Harris. United States border czar Lion Kamala. Of course, it's a lie that Kamala Harris is the border czar. Enemy of the people, Kamala Harris being held up by enemy of the people corporate media. Iran's useful idiot. Retruth if you want this cackling moron out of office. Really vile stuff. And you just keep going. And it's crazy after crazy after crazy. Trump flipping out within hours, posting endless videos and memes saying she's unfit, that she covered up Biden's diminished condition. This entire time I've been talking, I've been scrolling. And a ton of this stuff is related to Kamala Harris or others. I'm going to stop scrolling because there's so much. It's just endless. What needs to be said here that is maybe the most important thing, is that he wouldn't be doing this if he weren't terrified. If Trump weren't terrified about what the introduction of Kamala Harris to this campaign does to his chances, he wouldn't be making these kinds of attacks. He would be saying, I'll absolutely debate her and I'll do really well, rather than coming up with 10 different, sometimes conflicting explanations as to why he's not going to debate her. He is absolutely terrified. That's a good thing for those who want to support democracy, for those who want to see things go in the right direction rather than the wrong. We've got to make it happen in November, though. And if their fear is any sign, we are very well positioned to make that a reality if we get out and vote. As a reminder of what the stakes are, you can check out my Project 2025 white paper at davidpakman.com/Project 2025. Also, my new book is available for pre-order at davidpakman.com/echo. davidpakman.com/echo. We've got a great bonus show for you today. There are primaries happening tonight. And we will talk on the bonus show about 5 primaries to watch in Arizona and Tennessee. We are going to talk about Roy Cooper saying, no, thank you. I don't want to be Kamala's VP. I am graciously bowing out. And we will also talk about New York City Mayor Eric Adams issuing an order to overrule the law that limits the use of solitary confinement. I believe solitary confinement is a vile institution. We will talk about what was done, why the New York City mayor claims he did it, and we'll talk about the nature of solitary confinement a little more broadly.
Solitary confinement might be a good thing. It might not be what everybody's talking about, but hey, let's listen to Roland Martin. Let's see what he says. He's gonna... And this is live right now, so...
I was invited here, and I was told my opponent, whether it was Biden.
Come back. Okay, first of all, folks, I need the control room. I need her question. I need you to play her question and then hear his answer. Okay? So let me know when y'all have that. Okay, now y'all got it? Play it.
About some of your rivals, from Nikki Haley to former President Barack Obama, saying that they were not born in the United States, which is not true. You have told 4 congresswomen of color who were American citizens to go back to where they came from. You have used words like animal and rabbit to describe black district attorneys. You've attacked black journalists, calling them a loser, saying the questions that they ask are, quote, stupid and racist. You've had dinner with a white supremacist at your Mar-a-Lago resort. So my question, sir, now that you are asking black supporters to vote for you, why should black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
Well, first of all, I don't think I've ever been asked a question in such a horrible manner. First question. You don't even say hello, how are you? Are you with ABC? Because I think they're a fake news network, a terrible network. And I think it's disgraceful that I came here in good spirit. I love the black population of this country. I've done so much for the black population of this country, including employment, including opportunity zones with Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, which is one of the greatest programs ever for black workers and black entrepreneurs. I've done so much, and and I say this, historically black colleges and universities were out of money, they were stone cold broke, and I saved them, and I gave them long-term financing, and nobody else was doing it. I think it's a very rude introduction. I don't know exactly why you would do something like that, and let me go a step further. I was invited here, and I was told my opponent, whether it was Biden or Kamala, I was told my opponent was going to be here. It turned out my opponent isn't here. You invited me under false pretense, and then you said you can't do it with Zoom. Well, where's Zoom? She's going to do it with Zoom, and she's not coming. And then you were half an hour late. Just so we understand, I have too much respect for you to be late. They couldn't get their equipment working or something
Mr.
was
President,
wrong.
I would love
I think
you
it's
can
a
answer the
very
question
nasty
on your rhetoric
question.
and why you
I have
believe that
answered the
black voters
question.
should trust you with another
I
4
have
years.
been the best president for the black population since Abraham Lincoln. That's my answer.
Better than President Johnson, who signed the Voting Rights Act?
For you to start off the question and answer period, especially when you're 35 minutes late because you couldn't get your equipment to work, in such a hostile manner, I think it's a disgrace.
Let me just ask a follow-up, sir, and then we'll move on to other questions here. Some of your own supporters, including Republicans on Capitol Hill, have labeled Vice President Kamala Harris, who is the first black and Asian American woman to serve as vice president and be on a major party ticket, as a DEI hire. Is that acceptable language to you? And will you tell those Republicans and those supporters to stop it?
How do you define DEI? Go ahead. How do you define
diversity, equity, inclusion?
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Is that what your definition?
That is
give me a
literally
definition then. Would you give me a definition
DEI.
of that? Give me a definition.
Sir, I'm asking you a question,
No,
a very direct
define
question.
it. Define it for me, if you
I
would.
just defined it, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a black woman?
Well, I can say no. I think it's maybe a little bit different. So I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much. And she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
She has always
But you know
identified
what?
as a black woman.
I
She went to a
respect
historically
either
black
one.
college.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't, because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn, and she became a black person.
Just to be clear, sir, do you believe that she is
somebody should look into that too when you continue in a very hostile, nasty tone.
It's a direct question, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is a DEI hire, as some Republicans
I really don't
have
know.
said?
I mean, I really don't know. Could be. There are some, and there are plenty. I know this lady right over there, Harris, is a fantastic person who just interviewed me at length. And we had a great interview, I think, and I heard you got very good ratings on that
Well,
interview.
you told me it was the longest one of your life, so we had a good discussion. Look, I want to talk about why you're here today. I mean, it is not lost on us how divided we are as a country. And as you were coming today, we really got to see that we were.
Okay, pause right there. Okay, first of all, there's no way in hell I'm going to let y'all even go run that shameful, despicable question from Harris Falcon, who was a total embarrassment on the panel today. The young lady, I don't have her name, from Semaphore, she had no business being on that panel. The only person on that panel, the three people asking questions, who brought credibility, who brought toughness, and who was trying to hold Donald Trump accountable was Rachel Scott from ABC News. I saw Lindsay Davis in the hallway before I came out here, and I told Lindsay, I'm going to personally tell Rachel that she was absolutely amazing. The other two were useless. Their questions were ridiculous. You did not hear questions specifically pertaining to African Americans. I don't know what the hell Harris Faulkner was talking about. Oh, tell us about why you picked J.D. Vance. And Donald Trump sits there and then gives us a whole damn rundown of his resume. But that was a complete waste of our time. It was a debacle. And also, even how the format was set up, had them sitting in these plush chairs. No, it should have had his ass standing at a podium, them at a table, drilling him with questions. Also, NABJ said, oh, we're going to have real-time fact-checking.
Oh, they didn't.
Not on stage. So what the hell was that about? There was absolutely nothing about this so-called discussion that was worthy to be held here. Nothing. What do we gain from it? Nothing. He showed exactly who he is, a total asshole who says things about black people that are shameful, pathetic, and despicable. Donald Trump showed us exactly who he was. But NABJ embarrassed themselves when it came to the ground rules that were taking place. Well, they established it was not a strong panel other than Rachel Scott. How the format made no sense whatsoever. And let me tell you something right here. The moment Donald Trump insulted Rachel Scott, somebody in leadership of NABJ should have stood up and said, wait a minute, you have consistently insulted black female journalists, including April Ryan, including Yamiche Alcindor, who was sitting there on the second row there. You are not going to do that. We're going to have a respectful conversation, but you are not going to be insulting our members. And nobody did that. They allowed those three sisters to sit up there defenseless against the constant barrage of attacks from Donald Trump, calling ABC News fake news. That's why he also shouldn't have been invited, because that's what he does, talking about fake news. This man has had a war against media because he cannot stand being fact-checked. He cannot stand being held accountable. And so what you heard was him repeatedly, over and over and over and over and over again, lie in that session today. Okay? There was no false pretenses. It wasn't, oh, if she comes, you come. That was never the case, and he knows it. So he lied about that. Now, I was told that the audio company, that when he got there, they said audio went out. I don't know what the hell this, I guess, Encore, I don't know what the hell that company was about. I don't know what the hell they were doing, because guess what? We were sitting in there. You can hear the voice of God person, announcer. You can hear the music playing. So that made no sense whatsoever. And so he tried to sit here and try to portray black people as being, color folk, color time, being late. That's what he actually tried to do. And so it made no sense whatsoever. NABJ made us look weak. People all around the country and the world are talking about this here. Very few people are defending what actually took place. And again, if you out there and you black and you even think about voting for Donald Trump after what he did there, it was lies. He sat there, talked about HBCU funding. Oh, they were going broke. I guarantee their funding. That was an absolute lie. Undoubtedly a 100% lie. Oh, these immigrants, they're taking your black jobs. Lie. The serial liar showed us exactly who he is. I think you got some other clips. Y'all can play the next clip. Let's see what what else this fool had to say.
Divided along.
People from invading our country that are taking, frankly, a lot of problems.
I'm going to skip this because he said what needed to be said, and that motherfucker's a liar. And again, read it. It says, if you vote for dump, unfriend me. Unfriend me if you voting for a dump after that. So get mad. I don't know. That's what we doing. All right, we're gonna move on to Project 2025. 2025. We are going to. They're gonna summarize it, but I'm gonna give a little expansion on it. So it might take a minute. So bear with me. This is one of the reasons that this dude doesn't need to be back in office.
Job, and they're going to lay the groundwork and detail plans for exactly what our movement will do and what your movement will do when the American people give us a colossal mandate to save America, and that's coming. I don't know what the hell it is. It's Project 25. He's involved in Project, and then they read some of the things, and they are extreme. I mean, they're seriously extreme. But I don't know anything about it. I don't want to know anything about it.
Well, he might not need to know anything about it, but you and I both do, and we will, thanks to this incredible video that we have to show you today. One of the most pernicious periodicals ever published is going to be encapsulated in just 2 minutes, count them 2, by the great Mehdi Hassan, in a segment that promises to give this guy a run for his money.
Okay, units, travel plans. I need to be in New York on Monday, LA on Tuesday, New York on Wednesday, LA on Thursday, New York on Friday. Got it? Got it.
While it seems Donald Trump knows little about Project 2025, some might say he had a hand in today's developments concerning the fate of Project 2025 director Paul Dans.
I'm sorry, you're fired. Get out of here.
And let's please keep in mind, Paul Dans was a former Trump administration staffer, a chief of staff at the U.S. Office of Personnel Management, senior advisor at the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, another one of those people Trump barely knows. By the way, where have we heard that before?
I don't know. I haven't really been following it too much. I just wish her well, frankly.
See, the game plan now is to disavow the MAGA Blueprint Project 2025, at least until after the election. Now, before we show you Mehdi Hassan's important report, let's keep reinforcing over and over and over again that the pages of Project 2025 are printed in orange. Now let's have a quick look at all these former Trump loyalists who found the same great hobby over the last 4 years, creating Project 2025. And they include former Trump administration honchos Ken Cuccinelli, then acting Deputy Secretary for the Department of Homeland Security, Christopher Miller, acting U.S. Secretary of Defense, and Peter Navarro, Deputy Assistant to the President, and fellow convicted criminal. Now, if he indeed doesn't know anything about Project 2025 or any of these people, either he's lying or his mental decline is such that he doesn't remember the people he once knew by name. That happens with cognitive decline. So, flat-out liar or degenerative Alzheimer's patient. Pick your poison. And that sets the stage for the Cliff Note version of Project 2025. Now, if you're watching this with Donald Trump right now, or know how to contact him, Occupy Democrats are here to help him out with everything that dear forgetful Donald, the man who doesn't read, and you and I need to know about the MAGA-authored 900-page playbook, 900 pages in 2 minutes. Here we go.
If you believe the polls, Donald Trump is heading for the White House in 2025, and he'll be bringing Project 2025 with him. That's the 920-page policy document filled with crazy far-right authoritarian proposals that you all need to know about and that I'm going to summarize for you right now, all 30 chapters, in just 2 minutes. Start the clock. Chapter 1, turn the White House Council, which is supposed to give the president independent legal advice, into a, quote, activist force for the president.
Okay, so he's going to give it an activist force for his presidency. That means probably going to start a dictatorship and avert the rule of law.
Agenda. Chapter 2, root out anyone in the National Security Council or the Office of Management.
Okay, so they're going against wokeism, so Office of Budget and Management, that's used to the deficit so he can spend stuff, get rid of clean energy, other good stuff.
Budget who's too woke or is aligned with the president's agenda. Chapter 3, replace thousands of career civil servants with MAGA loyalists.
That's the one right there. That's the one right there. Replace thousands of career civil servants for MAGA loyalists. That's the one where that's what's kept us the last time from when they say guardrails, those career civil servants are the guardrails. They won't follow a rule if it's unethical. So that's a major one right there.
Chapter 4, radically increase the defense budget, expand.
Okay, increase the defense budget, more wars, nuclear bombs, more wars, more money for his contractors and stuff.
And the nuclear weapons production, lift restrictions on arms sales, and expel all transgender people from the military.
Why do transgender people need to not be in the military? Are they Americans too?
Chapter 5, ramp up deportations of
the Dreamers, getting rid of the Dreamers, and all those people who come over and do the picking, the cleaning, all those stuff, and what's the word I'm looking for? Someone's at the front door, and they contribute to the society.
Documented immigrants, including Dreamers, make it easier to detain kids in detention camps and allow ICE officers to arrest migrants anywhere.
Look at that. Allow ICE officers to arrest migrants anywhere in the United States. So what if an ICE officer thinks you're a migrant? He can stop you, stop and frisk.
Anywhere in the U.S., even without a warrant. Chapter 6, defund the Palestinian Authority.
This is Israel. They're trying to get land in Israel. That's why they will do that.
Bring back Trump's Remain in Mexico asylum policy and
bring back remaining. And he want them to stay over there on the other side of the border.
Strict funding for international health organizations.
No World Health Organization. No COVID cure.
Organizations like the WHO. Chapter 7, ramp up the use of covert ops and use.
Right here. Covert ops. The CIA is a clandestine entity that does not work on the United States soil. They can't. FBI does the work on U.S. soil. CIA does international. So he can order the CIA to infiltrate a political enemy, have him killed. Gotta stop him.
The CIA to, quote, implement the president's agenda. Chapter 8, defund, quote, on.
He's going to say it, but NPR, PBS. We grew up on PBS. I don't listen to NPR, but it's free. Excuse me. And it's funded by the government. It should stay.
Unquote, leftist news organizations like NPR and PBS. Chapter 9, get rid of all climate policy from.
We need climate policy. We need climate change. Climate change is real. It's real because 2022, the 2 Category 5 hurricanes almost demolished the Virgin Islands, so we need it.
Our foreign aid programs. Chapter 10, restrict food stamps.
Look at that. Restrict food stamp, free meals, low-income districts. They don't like poor people, man. They just don't like poor people. No matter what they say, they don't like poor people.
Free school meals in low-income school districts. Chapter 11, abolish the Department of Education.
Why are you going to abolish the Department of Education and they're going to replace it with Christian schools? I keep telling y'all, man, nope, can't have it. This cannot happen. This cannot happen.
Chapter 12, gut renewable energy program.
Yes, we are not there yet, but we are on our way to get there. We just need to build the infrastructure for the charging stations and stuff like that. We are getting there.
And vastly expand our natural gas infrastructure. Chapter 13, shrink the EPA.
We need clean drinking water, and we need clear land.
Shut down the Office of Environmental Justice. Chapter 14, get rid of.
Again, education. They don't like poor people. They can't stand poor people.
Head Start for low-income families and ban the abortion pill mifepristone. Chapter 15, ban all non-citizens
don't like poor people, don't like immigrants.
From living in government-subsidized housing, even if they're living in a family with citizens. Chapter 16, weaken the endangered species.
What did the bald eagle, the condors do to y'all?
Actually significantly expand oil drilling in Alaska.
Okay, that one right there, expand drilling in Alaska. We produce the most oil we've ever produced in the however long this country's been up, the lifetime of this country. We have produced so much oil. We are going to be energy independent soon. Empower the president to investigate opponents. Enough said. He's going to kill somebody. They're going to kill people.
Chapter 17, empower the president to investigate his opponents through the DOJ and eliminate the FBI's independence. Chapter 18, make it easier for...
Again, discriminate against women, transgender, blacks, Mexicans, Asians.
Businesses to discriminate on the basis of religious freedom and, of course, race. Chapter 19, restrict the EPA's ability to...
Again, why are you trying to make this place hotter? We are on the way to get to clean energy. We're not there yet, but we can do it.
Regulate CO2 emissions from cars. Chapter 20, force the Department of Veterans Affairs to seize abortion services.
Again, we don't like poor people.
And gender-affirming surgery. Chapter 21, focus the Minority Business Development Agency on, quote, the...
I could just say it. They don't like poor people. Socialism and communism. Yes, we don't like it, but we have taken some stuff from socialism, made it better.
Evils of socialism and communism. Chapter 22, increase taxes on millions of low-income...
There you go. Increase taxes on low-income and middle-class households. That tax cut they had before, they're trying to do it again. They're trying to put another $8 trillion on the deficit. See, Joe Biden has cut the deficit. He cut the deficit with the things he's doing. But this makes no sense.
And middle-class households. Chapter 23, it's just a long rant against China. Chapter 24, should we bring back the gold standard?
Makes no sense.
Chapter 25, punish Planned Parenthood.
No. Again, Planned Parenthood, that's a necessary thing. Abortion, and no matter what you say, abortion is necessary if they're not going to subsidize adoption, Department of Family Services.
For getting COVID-19 relief loans. Chapter 26, give more of Congress's power to make trade agreements to the president.
No. Absolutely not. Don't give the president more power. Abolish the Consumer Protection Program? No. Customers be screwed. We'll be screwed.
Chapter 27, abolish the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which has saved consumers tens of billions of dollars. Chapter 28, limit content moderation on social...
Free speech.
Media platforms. Leave hate speech alone. Chapter 29, take away the Federal Election Commission.
I work for elections. That's what they're trying to do right now. They're trying to rig the elections. We can't let them rig the election.
Power to prosecute election and campaign law violations. And Chapter 30, go after companies with ESG, DEI, and other corporate...
They don't like acronyms.
Social responsibility programs. That's what's in Project 2025. That's what could be heading our way. And if you want more people to know what's in it, then share this bloody video with them, will you?
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, share this bloody video. But again, what else is he going to say? We're at 122.
Totalitarian authority rule. No, ideally Project 2025 was designed like a PowerPoint pitch to persuade the American people that this plan for social re-engineering, it's going to be darn good for them. Well, that is until recently, when words started to get out through social and mainstream media, even through billboards, to those same American people. And like the new Democratic presumptive nominee or the really very smart VP choice. Sorry, that's not him. I meant this guyliner guy. And his dropping poll numbers. Well, gone are the warm, fuzzy days of peacocking on the Heritage Foundation stage as the savior of the evangelicals. Gee, that seems like a lifetime ago. Or as the Iowa abortion ban decrees just 6 weeks.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of our program. Again, this is the Common Sense Party Pod. Today, we talked about, are you a strong man or a smart man? Was Roland right about Trump? Why did the NABJ think he was not going to get free media? Or did they, that's what they wanted? And how do you feel about Project 2025? All right, there you go. Oh, I did that wrong. Hold on one second. There you go. This is the Common Sense Party Podcast. This podcast mission is to inform our listeners on topics that affect the everyday person. Rate, review, follow, comment, subscribe. There you go. Rate, review, comment, follow, subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to rate, review, comment, follow, and subscribe. Please give us 5 stars, give us 4 stars, give us 3 stars, give us 2 stars. You can only give us 1 star if you want to. If you don't give us any stars, I just assume we're doing it properly. We're available wherever you get your podcasts. We're available on Spotify, Amazon Music, Samsung Podcasts, Pandora, YouTube Music, formerly Google Podcasts, TuneIn, and we're available on Apple. You can contact us at the Common Sense Party Pod at gmail.com. Available on Facebook, available on Threads, available on X, available on TikTok. You can support via Cash App or, yes, they are. You can support via Cash App or Zelle. The information is on the About screen. Again, people, my hat says, this is a Common Sense Party Pod. Unfriend me if you vote for, are you voting for dump? If you don't know what a dump is, look it up. Again, democracy requires consistency and commitment. Will you be committed to get us to the finish line? If not, check us out next week.